Madam President,
objection?
reserving the right to object. Madam President, let me first mention that sadly this afternoon we learned that one of the other 4 people who was killed in Libya is a Massachusetts native, Glenn Doherty, former Navy SEAL and a State Department security official who was guarding the ambassador, taking care of the ambassador, caring for wounded and taking care of people there. And I believe, as Senator McCain yesterday said on the floor, Senator Lindsey Graham yesterday said on the floor, and Senator Lieberman said, cutting the aid to any of these countries right now in this fashion is not the way to honor the memory of an ambassador, Chris Stevens, who went there in great danger to help that country be free and have an opportunity to have democracy. Glenn Doherty did the same thing, put his life on the line in order to help the Libyans. And the senator from Kentucky might be really surprised to know that the Libyan people, by vast numbers, are grateful to the United States and are mourning the death of Ambassador Stevens. I heard the senator from Kentucky several times saying, in what frankly is a kind of arrogant statement, I guess, is the only way I can frame it. When you sit there and say, start behaving like a civilized nation. Well, by whose standard when? The Libyan government didn't do this. The Egyptian government didn't do this. What's happening there? The Yemen government sent its people to protect our people, and we helped negotiate the transfer of authority to this new government in Yemen. Now, are they having difficulties? Yeah. Go back and look at the United States of America in the 1700s. We had some difficulties. You know, we had to write slavery out of the Constitution and a bunch of other things. And it takes time. The arrogance of suggesting that we're going to judge whether or not they're civilized today or tomorrow because a mob or a bunch of militants take matters into their own hands would just be the most, sort of self-defeating, narrow effort you could possibly conceive of. Pakistan. I don't know. I'd ask the senators, have you ever been to Pakistan? Has the senator ever been to Egypt? I asked the senator, has the senator ever been to Egypt? The senator doesn't want to answer. I presume it means he hasn't been. He ought to go to Egypt and see what those people are struggling to do. That was a revolution in Tahrir Square. And it wasn't an Islamic revolution. It was a generational revolution. A bunch of young people with smartphones, tweeting each other and Googling and trying to touch the world and have a future. He wants to cut off American assistance to these nascent democratic efforts. Whatever happened to the great commitment of the conservative movement in America to freedom and democracy and to help it develop? Just turn your back on it, pull the aid out. What the heck? Because we don't think they're civilized. I find this kind of stunning, when you say foreign countries that aren't friendly. The countries didn't do these things. Militant extremists, radical terrorists within those countries that those people are struggling to beat back. Right now in Pakistan, there are troops in the western part of Pakistan losing their lives, fighting extremists. Cut off the aid, and you send a message of you don't do exactly what we say, exactly when we say, exactly the way we want. Well, we're not going to give you the pittance that we give them. We give less than 1% of the entire budget of the United States of America. Less than 1% goes into all of our foreign operations, all of our embassies, our security, our aid. 1%. And the impact is extraordinary, Madam President. You know, in Pakistan today, you want to just cut it off? Okay. We have 130,000 troops in Afghanistan, and they are largely supplied now somewhat from the north, from the stands, from the northern route that's been created, but they're also supplied from Karachi by road all the way through over the Khyber Pass and down into Afghanistan. We've just gone through a long process of working with the Pakistanis to be able to do that and renew that. As everybody knows, we have decimated al-Qaeda in the western part of their country. Their country. Civilians are being killed in their country in our effort to protect our country. They have endured that. Their political system has endured that. And we're just going to turn around and say, you know, we're going to pull the aid out. And we only want to do it with 15 minutes on the floor of the United States Senate. Here's a major policy consideration, and we just want 15 minutes because it's really that simple. Madam President, I got to tell you, you know, this is 4 countries, all of which are critical to the future of the region of the Middle East. Egypt. Egypt is an essential partner with respect to the potential of peace in the Middle East. 1/4 of the Arab world. I have been to Egypt many times. I have sat with the new president, President Morsi, and I have met with others engaged in this transformation. They are trying to be a legitimate democracy. Yeah, some people won the election that we're not exactly on the same page with completely, but that's what happens in democracies. That's what happens when people vote. Are we not going to respect the democracy? So I just say to my friend from Kentucky, you know, there are just critical issues at stake here. We're not buying it. What we're doing is trying to help them to be able to make this transformation to a full-throated, full-blooded democracy that can respect its court system, respect its elected institutions. And it doesn't come easily. Their police were decimated in the course of the revolution, and there was corruption, and they're working to change that. There's a whole unbelievable transformation taking place. It's not going to be pretty. It is difficult. And there are a lot of unscrupulous people that we all know have hated us for a long time, who would love to get the upper hand. Pull out, you give them the upper hand. Stay there, you have an opportunity to do what Chris Stevens was doing, and Glenn Doherty, and a lot of other people, which is stand up for and fight for the interests of the United States of America, because we have real interests in those places. That's what this is about. So, first of all, it deserves more than 15 minutes. Secondly, it is not appropriate to do it on a veterans bill where we desperately need to get this help to our veterans. Do it in freestanding. Do it the proper way. Do it through our committee. Do it, we'll have a hearing. Happy to have that done properly. But this is not the way to do it. And this is not the moment to do it. And it would have a profoundly negative impact that could contribute to even more violence, not stem it, if that were our reaction. So Madam President, I do object and hope that at some point, happy to have this debate. It's a worthwhile one, but this is not the time and this is not the bill. I object.
Objection is heard.